Do you know what this number is? Does it ring any bells?
But I think you're referring to my compensation in some way.
Yeah, well, in some way. This was your compensation in 2017 for being CEO of Celgene, and that's a lot of money. It's 200 times the average American's income and 360 times what the average senior gets on Social Security. Now, of that 13 million, about 2.1 million came from your company hitting yearly earning targets. And more than half of the bonus formula was based on those targets. Any increase in the price of Revlimid would also increase your bonus by increasing earnings. Isn't that right, Mr. Ellis?
If revenues increased and expenses did not, then earnings would be enhanced.
Thank you. Mr. Ellis, in fact, the Oversight Committee found that if you hadn't increased the price of Revlimid, you wouldn't have gotten your bonus. Mr. Ellis, do you know how much you personally received in bonuses over 2 years, the last 2 years, just because Celgene raised the price of this one drug, Revlimid?
I receive very generous compensation, but I don't know the exact number that you're referring to.
In fact, you personally received $500,000 personally just by tripling the price of Revlimid. So to recap here, the drug didn't get any better. The cancer patients didn't get any better. You just got better at making money. You just refined your skills at price gouging. And to be clear, the taxpayers spent $3.3 billion on Revlimid.
As most of you probably know, Katie Porter is a world-renowned badass, and she broke it all down. The more this guy hiked the price of the drug, the more of a bonus he got. This is why the market does not work when it comes to pharmaceuticals, when it comes to healthcare. There should be no market for it. There should be no profit motive. All developments are usually paid for by the public, and research findings are made at universities. So public-funded research at universities gives us drugs. These big companies buy the rights to these drugs, buy the patents, they sell the drugs to the people, the drugs we paid to make, they sell it back to us, and they gouge the price so they can make more bonuses. And he brought up something like, oh yes, you're right, if we do get more revenues based, if there's less cost and more revenues, we do get a higher profit, therefore I make a higher... It's all that business talk. In fact, that's actually the first form of political correctness. You know all the stuff people say when we try to say things that are actually, tolerant and educated? They say, oh, you're being politically correct. The first form of political correctness in America was actually corporations doing really messed up shit and then covering for it with language like that. That is what political correctness actually means when you talk about what the bigger implications of that term. It got a little twisted over time, of course, but this guy, his incentives are to do bad. So if your incentives in an industry, make it worse, that is when you need social ownership of that industry. Whether it's, the prison system, whether it's healthcare, whether it's immigration, whether it's all these things that cannot be done by the market, that's when you need to socialize it. Nothing changed about the drug, nothing got better. If we do make rules about it as a government, and Bernie Sanders spoke about this a lot, and also Andrew Yang on the campaign trail, even if we make rules against exploiting prices from these drugs, they'll do something like just change the name of the drug, or change the shape of the pill, or change the color of the pill so they could rebrand it in a different name. We need a total reconstruction of our pharmaceutical industry in America. The incentives need to be helping people. That needs to be the incentive, not just making money. And no, it's not going to be solved by Trump's method of sending coupons to people who need to buy medication. That will not work.